Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
We're going streaking!
Dave's Video Graveyard.
That guy in a little coat. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm not a smart man.
Shut up!
One tubby.
What's wrong with him?
My first thought would be alive.
Why so serious?
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, Ma! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
Of all the radio shows in the world, this is definitely one of them. Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning. And if we're not back by dawn, call the president.
100.5 WOWFM. It is Dave's Video Graveyard for another Monday night. Joining me once again is everyone's favourite co-host that is here tonight. It is Paulie. How you doing, dude?
Yeah, good. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't mean to throw you off by building it up too much.
No.
So how's your week been, given that it's a week where you got to see a new Jurassic Park trailer?
I like any week that I can see new dinosaurs up on the screen. It's going to be good, dumb fun, but, I'll still go see it.
Now, once again, we're having trouble getting content because that's what we do here at the Graveyard.
Yep.
And we're having another guest choice special. Tonight, we're joined by RCW's Marvel. He will be in the studio telling us all about his favourite films and why. And we might start things off with a song. This is Dave's Video Graveyard. .5 WOWFM, Dave's Video Graveyard. There we heard. Why didn't you tell us who we heard from? Heartbeats in the Hallway we heard from with G-Checks.
Don't blindside me like that.
Now, completely unrelated, we are joined right now by Riot City Wrestling's one of their biggest bad boys. We're joined by Marvel. Marvel, how you doing, dude?
Yeah, good. I'm good.
Thank you so much for joining us. And you've picked a very diverse list tonight.
Yeah, I'd say it's relatively diverse. There's a few, movies from the same genres in there, but yeah.
It's a mad love for Kurt Russell.
Yeah, well, actually... When you guys asked me, to pick my 12 favourite movies, I'd just written Kurt Russell. So I had to narrow it down to, I think, one movie.
That was two. I think there's a... Oh, no, just one, yeah.
That's actually the final thing that Walt Disney wrote down on a piece of paper as well.
What?
He was found slumped over on his desk with Kurt Russell written on a piece of paper. This is honestly true. And he was a child star for Disney at the time.
Okay.
And they have no idea what the context of the list was. Perhaps he was murdered by a young Kurt Russell. That's what I like to think.
You made me star in the computer wore tennis shoes. Was he in that? I think.
Possibly.
Yeah, like one of those old, Disney movies. But first on the list is Army of Darkness.
Yeah, we might play a song and get into it.
Yeah.
100.5 WOW FM, Dave's Video Graveyard. There we heard from... just trying to remember who it's by. Doing really well tonight. That was the Hail to the King tribute from the Evil Dead trilogy, because the first choice on Marvel's list tonight is Army of Darkness. Why did you pick this film?
I guess it's one of a couple of horror movies on my list, and I guess when I was a kid, I hated horror. It scared the hell out of me, which is the point of horror. So I avoided horror movies as much as I possibly could. And I didn't see Army of Darkness, till I was late in my teens. And I guess out of the three, so Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, I think I chose Army of Darkness because I love them all. I potentially like Evil Dead 2 even better, but in terms of the character of Ash, I reckon he's the best in Army of Darkness.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel almost like Bruce Campbell's just given free reign on the third one. It's like, all right, you did what I wanted to do for the first, then we kind of remade it for the second, and then it's like, all right, do what you want to do. And you could see where everyone involved with this project, where they were headed, because you ended up with Xena, Warrior Princess, shot very similarly, set in a medieval setting, even Hercules to a degree.
Yeah, definitely. This is actually the first one I ever saw. I saw this one before I watched the first two. I think just because the first two were R18 and this one was M. So I was sort of lost. If you watch this one first, you're sort of like, all right, what's going on? It's probably my favorite. Evil Dead 2 is good. There's bits that still kind of freak me out, like the bit with the deer head on the wall, when it's like, oh my god, that still gives me nightmares. But this is so good. Just the special effects are corny, but they're really good. I still like watching it. I enjoyed watching it last week again.
Yeah, I was the same. This was and very similar to you as well, Marvel. I hated horror movies when I was a kid, absolutely, even to the point I reckon I was in high school and there was a double feature of Scream 2 and Alien Resurrection at the movies, and I was going through reasons that I could pull out of going with all my mates because they were all horror fiends.
Yeah.
And I was like, I've got asthma, but there was a party on the following day that I wanted to go to, and I knew any excuse I was going to use would write me off for more than just that night. And so I went and saw it, absolutely, because I was with the boys and with all the girls from our school. I was like, I'm cool. Sat there basically grimacing and crying silently. So sadly, that was the first Alien film that I saw as well. And then I just got obsessed with horror, went back, and Army of Dark, the Evil Dead trilogy was an absolute staple of that. And awesome choice.
Now I can just imagine I got asthma, guys. I can't go.
That's not far off how it was. I was like, I'm really sick. I was more scared of Scream 2 was going to be scary because I had seen Scream 1.
Yeah.
And I was at a point where I was like, that was really, really scary.
Yeah.
But I manned up and I made it through.
It's really supposed to be called Medieval Dead, but it's actually not a bad other name for it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I could see that.
Well, because I saw the trailer for it originally on the Clown House DVD trailer.
Clown House.
And sinister movie.
We should do a clown. We should do a clown episode, all clowns.
And it was called Bruce Campbell versus Army of Darkness.
Right.
So I didn't even know it was an Evil Dead film.
Yeah.
Could not find it at the video shop. And it was in comedy. I think I've told you about this.
Ours was in comedy at Moveland, yeah.
This was at comedy, and so I just had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
Trying to find Evil Dead 3 Army of Darkness, could not find it. Awesome. We'll move on to the next song, which is an absolute, this is a first here on the Graveyard, but you're sure to love it.
Oh, God.
I was not ready for that song to finish at all. I wanted it just to keep going.
Welcome back to the 80s porn hour.
I was waiting for an elevator to open and it'd just be a massive coke party. So the next choice is a film from, let me have a look with my memory, not looking it up online at all, from 1992. And I only saw it for the first time this Saturday. Why don't you tell us what it is?
So it's a movie called Hard Boiled by John Woo.
Yes. Now, I thought he did his best work with Broken Arrow because, that's one of the best true story films I've ever seen. I'm not sure it's a true story, but it's got to be. That really happened, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. No, this film was fantastic. I got to thank you for putting it on the list because I knew nothing about it. Watched it and I was like, wow. And if you compare it to 1992's action, nothing comes close to the way it goes.
No, I mean, this was like a...
it's John Wick in 1992, basically.
Pretty much like that opening shootout in the tea shop with the birds. It's just amazing. Like, you just know what you're in for, and like it doesn't let up. It's awesome.
How did you discover this film?
So I had a friend who went over to America. And he came back with these, like he had Hard Boiled and The Killer, which is awesome.
The Killer, yep.
I've seen The Killer, but I didn't really like. He had it like NTS. I think it was like NTSC, NST, so whatever there was the video.
It was like the long play version.
You had to get a TV that could show it, sort of thing. Like
yeah. So I'd never, heard it was awesome. I'd never, but then one night there was it was like the Fringe, and there was a film festival on, and what's the cinema down like the West End?
Oh, the
Mercury
Cinema.
Mercury Cinema. Mercury Cinema had it playing like late one night, and I went and watched it, and I was like, the tea house scene, like it just blew me away. Like that tea house, the tea house scene at the start is just unbelievable.
And because the first film that I saw from John Woo was like Hard Target in '93, and the thing that blew me away about it, obviously it's an awesome action, but the camera work, like there's the bit where the camera follows the bullet into the guy's chest. That blew my mind.
Yeah.
Even though I was like a 10-year-old kid that shouldn't have been watching it, it was amazing.
You can see portions of Hard Boiled out throughout his films, like his American films, like that. In Face Off, there's that thing with the doves and lots of stuff. Like that's usually like that's a big John Woo thing. Like
he loves double guns, double handguns.
Yep.
One thing that like really blew me away was it almost is like us grumpy old film guys that complain about the way action is now, where everything's done really bad choreograph, but then just cut to give it excitement. This was all like choreography, and like you reckon if you stood there watching it filmed, you'd see about 90% of what makes it onto the actual movie, and I thought that was awesome. And the scene with the hospital, which is done in 2 long takes, it's like a 6-minute shot, is absolutely amazing. I even looked into how it was made, and it was all done on a single level. And basically, they filmed the first bit with them going through just shooting everything ever.
Yep.
They get into the elevator, the doors stop. The 2 actors stood away from the doors for forever while they totally redressed and cleaned up the set. Then the doors open and they're on the same floor again, but with like new windows in, new thing.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, wow. And they were going to do it as a single take, but they're trying to explain to John Woo that a double-story building that's set up like that doesn't exist. But you can definitely see where he was heading down with, like, particularly with his Hollywood films. Like, there's so many things that became staples for him that he was like using for the first few times here.
Yeah. I think Chow Yun-fat, like he got into American movies, so he did like a bunch in the '90s, the late '90s. So I think this was like a launching pad for him too. Apparently, the staircase slide at the end of the tea house, that was improvised by him. He was just like, I'm going to do that. And I'm glad he did. 307 baddies die in this movie.
That is awesome.
Amazing.
I like and I even like that you can tell they just got like cups of blood and just threw it on the ground every now and then. It's like it was so fantastic. I really loved this film.
I think if you're a fan of action, you can't not see this film. Like this is just the prototype for so much that's come after it. So yeah. And
for the first time ever, I watched 2 films in a week with subtitles. So like I'm cultured now, guys.
Yeah, cultured.
Look at me.
What was the other one?
Look at Train to Busan. whatever.
Well, look at you.
Yep.
Wow.
That movie gave
What was
me
that about?
a fear. It's basically the zombie apocalypse, but they're on a bullet train.
No, that's a really good zombie movie.
And I actually yelled at the screen for the first time in a long time.
My wife
and I got fear bonus.
Yep.
That's the thing, right?
You can get it's on Netflix at the moment. So Train to Busan, yeah, definitely.
Not to take away from your list.
No, I've seen that movie as well. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. What was your favourite part of this film?
I've seen it so many times. The bits, the tea house bit when he goes down the staircase. Love that bit. Love the bit when he rolls across the table and shoots the guy in the face and the blood sprays onto his face, which is covered in white, flour. So it's like white against the red. It's just nice imagery. But I do like the fight they have. So the Chow Yun-fat and the other good guy. They have the fight with the guy, the real badass guy with the glasses in the hospital basement.
Yeah,
I thought that fight was really cool as well.
Yeah. No,
watching it, one thing it fully, I didn't realize how derivative. The film Shoot 'Em Up with Clive Owen.
Yeah,
that was just trying to be this film, and I never realized.
Well, like the early 90s, early 2000s had that stylized violence thing come back in. Like they had Shoot 'Em Up, Sin City. There's a couple other ones there too that
Don't say Crank.
Yeah, I'd put that in there. Yeah. But just that's that sort of gritty and use lots of guns. I mean, Paul Giamatti in Shoot 'Em Up is excellent. I'd watch it again just for him. But yeah, a lot of them I watch this film. And I think if you looked into the docos about those films, they'd all cite this as a reference. It's got to be yeah. So definitely go see it.
So awesome. As we move on to the next choice, we might go to a couple of ads. This is Dave's Video Graveyard. By the great man himself, John Carpenter, that is Welcome to LA, taken from the next choice, which is an absolute classic. It is They Live. Why don't you tell us about it?
So, I could have chosen a whole bunch of John Carpenter movies. I think this is one or two. I think it's one of two that I've chosen. But this, I guess, first of all, it features my favourite professional wrestler ever, Rowdy Roddy Piper. But I found out about this kind of the way you found out about Army of Darkness. It was it was a trailer on the end of a movie on a VHS video from the video shop, and I saw it. And I'm like, I have to get that movie. So I kept an eye out for it. As soon as it came out, I got it. I watched it, finished. I hit rewind and watched it again. And it finished, and I hit rewind and watched it again. So I think I watched it 3 times in a row, back to back. It blew my mind.
I, in the same week, for the first time, saw They Live and The Warriors, and I thought, wow, all film is amazing and life-changing. Never scored 2 films like that in the same week again.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. It's a lot of people know it just as a skateboarding brand movie because of the Obey clothing brand.
I've got a T-shirt of it, and I stopped wearing it because I thought let's stand next to somebody who likes the Bay. But, yeah.
So basically, the story is Nada, played by Rowdy Roddy Piper, is a drifter, moves into LA, where he gets a job just doing construction and living in a shanty town as a homeless person, and there's a church near the homeless thing, and he ventures in there one day because there's always people coming and going, acting sus.
Yeah.
He finds that the choir that's constantly singing is just recordings, and finds out that something's going on. He doesn't know exactly what, and then he finds a box of sunglasses. So he puts the sunglasses on, and suddenly he sees the real world where basically humans are being kept docile, and a higher race of aliens are basically infiltrating the world.
That bit when he first starts seeing the aliens, for what they are, walking down the street, that's an insanely good piece of filmmaking. Just like
pouring perfume on a pig.
Yeah.
Is that bit? Yeah.
It's just it because up to that point. Because Carpenter being Carpenter, it takes a while to
Slow
get
burn.
to the point. But when it gets in there, it's an insanely well-made sci-fi movie. It's just really, really good. And then it's got one of the longest fight scenes you'll ever see.
One of the best fight scenes you'll ever seen. It's been parodied in many things, including Cripple Fight from South Park.
Yeah, yep.
Which was shot for shot. The 6-minute fight. They didn't pull punches for it. Rowdy Roddy Piper, being a professional wrestler, was willing to take the punches. think it was body and face, but no, like they had certain rules. And Keith David was all for it because he was massive at the time, and it was John
he a
Carpenter.
wrestler? I don't know much about wrestling, so he wasn't a wrestler. He was just a stunt.
He wasn't a wrestler. But I guess the thing about that fight now, and I guess I don't know if this was the intent, but now it's seen as like how hard it is to get people to see the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what that, it's kind of like a metaphor for, how hard it is to get people to see the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And because that was the other thing is, and also you see the futility of the fight once he puts the glasses on. It's like if he'd just done, if they'd both just not been stubborn in what they were trying to achieve, no fight needed. It's fantastic. They, of course, had to throw in 2 body slams because it's Roddy Piper. They actually met at WrestleMania 2 because John Carpenter was a massive wrestling fan and got front row tickets, as celebrities used to do.
Yeah.
And,
So is this like in the wrestling community, is this like the film that like they all sort of aspire to?
No, Suburban Commando is, surely.
Yeah. I think, and Santa with muscles. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called.
There's actually, it's either Santa with Muscles or Mr. Nanny. There's actually a scene in the background that's kind of become a bit internet famous where Hulk Hogan's riding his hog down the beach, and while he's riding along, caught in the background is just some stranger violently throwing a dog into the ocean.
I have heard about that.
It has no bearing on the film. It was just happened to capture it in the background, similar to the ball sack in the background of the American Werewolf film. No, not American Werewolf. Sorry,
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf.
Because I've watched a doco recently about Hulk Hogan and his legal cases on Netflix. Because he was, I think it's all about how he got a sex tape that was like.
He pretty much released his own sex tape and then sued the first person to post it.
And it's a really, really well made doco, and like he comes off really well. Like, I mean, if anyone thinks that he's just a dumbass, to go off topic here because he's not in this film, but. I found it really, really interesting to watch. So, I can't remember what the doco's called, but it's on Netflix. He's all over the front of it. You'll see him when you're scrolling down, but yeah.
I used to love Hulk Hogan, but he became the guy, like, similar to the Jack Black character in King Kong.
Yeah.
Where he'd tell a real genuine story and you'd fully be like, oh, that's his life. Then 2 years later, he'd just totally retell the same story.
Yeah.
But totally change all the facts and the elements. And you're like, well, my heartstrings were pulled with that first story and you've changed it. He's full of crap.
Because I don't know much about wrestling, but like that was my gateway into it. Like, I mean, Hulk Hogan is probably what like people think of when they think of at least 80s wrestling or stuff. Like, he was in Gremlins too, that's why.
He was in, more importantly, he was in 3 Ninjas Kickback 3 or whatever.
He was. But it's still going strong. Like, I mean, wrestling's still, like, I work in Insanity, and, like, we still get people. Like, I had some guy buy it, SummerSlam and WrestleMania always sells out. Like, it's still, like, a market out there for it. Like, but like,
he was in one of the Rocky films, too.
He was, yeah. But the local stuff, like, do you want to sort of pimp that? Because not a lot of people know about it. I've told everyone that I was, like, into, like, a wrestler, and
not a lot of people know about it. Hello.
Well, that in my circle, like they didn't realize that there was, like...
You are not white and bogan enough.
Okay.
You're off. Your mic is off for the rest of the show.
Look, I'm hanging around you enough. My reputation's being tarnished. But yeah, pimp it.
Yeah, so there's a few wrestling promotions around, and I guess I'll stick with mine. So I wrestle for Riot City Wrestling.
Okay.
So we do shows about once a month. Down Wavell, the Latvian Hall. You can find us on Facebook if you look up Riot City Wrestling. That has all our events. Our next big shows at the end of January, which is called Reanimated.
Okay.
I think it's the Australia Day weekend.
Right.
I think. So we pride ourselves on our wrestling and our production. We think we have one of the best productions in Australia.
Excellent.
So if you go along, if you think local wrestling is a wrestling ring in a hall with like the lights on and stuff like that, that's not what it is.
I saw some photos, and I was really impressed by the actual the production of it all. I was really into it. Is it like an all ages thing, or is it more?
Yeah, so ours is geared towards your family. So yeah,
okay, cool.
It's all ages.
Excellent.
It's awesome though because because I take my kids since they were like 4, but not that that's the.
Do you wrestle? Have you wrestled?
No, I was a manager or a fanager. because I just didn't want to do it, take any bumps, but I wanted to be a part of
famous manager? WWE. Oh man, I can't remember.
Jimmy Hart, Captain Lou Albano.
No, the guy with the guy that owned it all.
Oh, Vince McMahon.
Yeah. Like the Vince McMahon of Semaphore.
Kind of more like when the Misfits were with Vampiro. It was like, dress up, but not actually do any of the product wasn't coming from me at all.
But you've been going for a while.
Yeah. Sorry, what I was going to say. If you take your children with your children's friends, your children get to be the cool, edgy kids that get to go to this cool, edgy thing, which, would be maybe PGM on a bad day.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. It's awesome. It really is an awesome family thing. And no offense to anyone, but you'll definitely not be the least classiest person there, no matter what you do.
Well, you'll be there, so,
Well, I did once watch a lady. This wasn't at RCW, another promotion, but I was watching a lady drinking 2 litres of iced coffee through the entire show. And it was one of my favourite memories of local wrestling. It's fantastic.
We'll check out RCW on Facebook, and for the next events should be Australia Day. And don't pay attention to any of the other wrestling companies.
Oh no!
How did you get into wrestling locally? Because I'm guessing, given how long a lot of you RCW guys have been doing it, there kind of wouldn't be as straight. Like now, anyone can come along to any of the federations and try out.
Yeah,
you guys basically had to build it from the ground up just to do what you wanted to do. And second part of the question. Did you used to powerbomb oversized teddy bears? Because if that's how it starts, then I'm probably destined to be a wrestling superstar.
So, no, I mean, next year is my 20th anniversary of being a professional wrestler. So, yeah, 20 years it'll be next year. And I guess, so I grew up watching it in the 80s. So we weren't powerbombing teddy bears. We were doing camel clutches in the front yard on each other.
Yeah.
And camel clutches, when you don't know what you're doing, really hurt. So
I'm going to Google camel clutch for you.
Yeah, so don't try them at home.
See, for me and my mates, because we were less, I guess you'd say smart. That's one way of saying it nicely. But it was razor's edge for me and my friends.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we've all got a few years before we all find out we have like really bad concussion injuries.
Yeah.
Whoa. The one I just looked up what a camel clutch was.
It's the sit on their back and pull their head off.
Did you not break someone's neck at some point?
We didn't, but it really hurt. It did really hurt. I remember doing it and I was like, oh my God, this really hurts.
I also remember the first time I ever got a sharpshooter put on me and it did nothing and I was heartbroken. No pun intended.
Look what a sharpshooter is. I'm learning a lot tonight.
Yeah. So how I got my start in wrestling was, so I loved it when I was a kid, and then kind of like, it was hard to, get, like, you might get a video at the video shop and stuff like that for, through the early 90s and stuff like that. And then Foxtel came on and we got
Raw is
WCW and Raw is War. And I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler. And then one day, so I had a year off between study, and one day in the newspaper there was like a job advert looking for people to wrestle. So I rang the guys up, and yeah, they
get in my van.
Yeah,
that could have been anything.
I know, but it was they were like some old school guys, and they trained me up, and I've been doing it ever since. Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's cool.
Now back to the movie. Have you seen the film Hell Goes to Frogtown?
I have seen the movie Hell Goes to Frogtown. Yes.
Have you
seen
it?
No.
Well, the premise is it's set in a post-apocalyptic future.
Okay.
And Roddy Piper is the last virile man left on Earth.
Dear God.
And so he's kind of becomes like all the ladies of the wasteland basically fight over.
Did he direct this and write it?
No. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if he wrote it because it's any male's dream for this storyline.
And we're going to star me.
Who would possibly be good in this role? Me. Sweet. We'll move on to the next choice. This is Dave's Video Graveyard, taken from the fantastic film Escape from New York from 1981. Why did you pick this film?
This is where I had just initially written Kurt Russell, and then I guess I kind of narrowed it down to what's my favourite bits out of movies that he's done, and I could change my mind quite easily.
How did Big Trouble in Little China not make it a thing?
I don't know. I guess I guess Escape from New York made it because of there were two scenes in it that I love. The first one's when he he's having the fight in the boxing ring, and he hits the guy on the back of the head with the spiked baseball bat.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then the end of it where he's got the tape and he's tearing the tape out. I just thought that was those two scenes for me kind of stick out. When I wrote that more than anything else, but I could quite easily flip-flop around as to which one I like the best out of all these movies.
Now, did you see this as a kid or discover it later on?
So I saw it probably as a early teenager. Yeah.
I saw it for the first time on Arena on pay TV at the time.
Yeah,
and it was a midday movie once. And just because it had Kurt Russell and I knew nothing about it. And I lie. I had seen Escape from LA first. Then I went back and I'm like, oh, wow, they're both good.
I mean, you're saying off air that he's kind of like John Carpenter's kind of like Tarantino, and in this film, he uses Donald Pleasance, which he used in Halloween, and Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers, wrote it, and so there's this community that he had.
And Deborah Hill produced, which she did Christine, pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think this is post breakup because they did a lot together, and then they split, and then.
Well, at the time he was married to Adrienne Barbeau, which she's also in the film, and she's got a really good personality. And Kurt Russell's wife at the time is also in the film.
Who was his wife at the time?
I don't know.
I thought he was always with Goldie Hawn. But
no. Yeah, that's what I thought.
It just seemed like the Hollywood
I thought
couple.
Kate Hudson was Kurt Russell's daughter, and I was all like, yeah, but she's not, so I don't care. But Wyatt Russell's going to be the next Kurt Russell. You'll see.
Apparently Clint Eastwood was considered for the role of Snake Plissken.
Do you know who was the main front runner in front of him, though?
What's that?
Tommy Lee Jones. And I don't know why or how.
Yeah.
We need someone's face who's made of chicken skin. Narrow it down to Tommy Lee Jones or Redford.
Oh, man. No, I saw this film, probably just in my early video store days. I definitely remember having it on VHS, and it was very grainy because it was well rented. I really like it. I mean, it's just, again, I'm a huge Carpenter fan, so you shouldn't really ask me because I'm going to say everything he does is great. So, but if you haven't seen it, watch it. Escape from LA, the sequel,
and it gave the world it gave the world a little known special effects director / matte painter that did some of the matte paintings in this film.
Yep.
Known as Jim Cameron at the time. Went on to make Terminator 2, the world's greatest film, which is a fact that's been proved by science. Doesn't matter.
Did he do Piranha?
Doesn't matter.
Did he do Titanic?
Doesn't matter.
Did you Avatar 2?
It's like winning the world heavyweight champion, then the intercontinental belt. Just doesn't matter because you're world champ.
Avatar 4.
Doesn't matter.
Avatar 5.
Doesn't matter. He made The Abyss.
He did.
So
Boring.
There's my counter. He made Aliens.
Okay, cool. There you go. We got some common ground. No, good choice.
It was made for $6 million, went on to make $25 million, which if you tried to make Escape from New York with $6 million anywhere, anytime, it just would not happen.
Yeah.
The invention of the new camera, which let nighttime filming happen, was a big part of this, which was also utilised in the Warriors film.
Oh, yeah, cool.
And they had to film it in St. Louis because St. Louis was so quiet at night that they could film anywhere and there not be anyone around. They didn't have to pay for crowd control. And if basically it's St. Louis, they said the only people that were out at night were homeless people. And they were like, yep, just walk through the shot. We'll feed you. We'll give you some money. And they were like, yeah, sweet.
Kind of like the Warriors too. Like, I mean, they used what they got. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Before we go to the next one, you said you have been wrestling for 20 years. Like, have you noticed a change over the years, like for people's people who are into it? Like, has it changed much? Like their attitudes towards it? Like, I mean, and also people's perceptions of it. Do you reckon?
Well, I guess in terms of wrestling, I guess from my point of view, it's changed a lot. So if you go back and you watch like 80s wrestling, it's it's pretty basic and it was all about telling a story and the character and those sorts of things. And now I guess and people were big. People took lots of steroids.
Yeah.
Apparently. And so I guess as times progress, wrestlers, anyone body shape, body size can wrestle now and do that. And I guess wrestling there's still, like, for me, I prefer that old style of wrestling, like less is more.
Yep.
But there's wrestling that's, I guess we say, like, is real spotty. So there's lots and lots of things happening, and you know, in wrestling we have finishing moves, and there are matches that'll have like 20 finishing moves in it, and you're like.
That's one thing that I've noticed as a massive wrestling nerd was. Back then, it was about the show, the showmanship, the character, everything like that, the build-up and stuff. Whereas now, particularly because of you indie guys, it's all spots. So it's all the likes of... there's something called the Canadian Destroyer, which you have to Google while the next song plays. Okay. And it's just... They've gone to a point where it's like, okay, so now, 10 years' time, it's like, all right, we're going to kill you, but we'll get your neck fixed and bring you back to life for the next show. Because it is... You guys... would have had a hard job to begin with, like a lot of the hits you take, but it's now at this next level where you either level the intensity or just don't bother, because you could be like a great wrestler from the 1980s. If you applied what was great then now, you would just be left behind, because it's insanity now, even locally, particularly Riot City. You guys are crazy.
So I'm not as crazy as the other guys on there, so I try and keep it a bit.
You're a conservative.
So I'm a conservative. I can't flip, so all of my things are submission holds and stuff like that.
Do you do the chair thing? Like, do you break chairs and lots of stuff?
The culture's changed a bit because of concussion now.
So
the movie or the...
Let's sit down and watch Will Smith instead of fighting.
So I have been hit with the chairs, and I have hit people with chairs. And
okay. So, and can I ask? Actually, we'll do a break because I'm going to keep going. I'm learning. I knew nothing about wrestling before this, so I'm actually really interested.
I will do a razor's edge on you.
I don't know what that means.
It's fine. You can do. I had lots when I was 16, and I turned out fine.
Okay. But yeah, let's go on to the next song, and then I'm going to ask you about injuries. So,
okay.
Just before we do that, I'm going to look up what the next song is. All right, let's do it. This is DVG. Joined by Riot City Wrestling's Marvel for this guest choice episode. So far, some absolute hard-hitting action classics.
Yep.
And right now, another hard-hitting action classic, but an action of the heart.
It is.
Tell us about this film from 1985.
So this is this is The Breakfast Club. And again, I think this is one of those movies that I saw at the right time. I was probably around the same age as the guy. Well, actually, I'm not sure if I'm the same age as the guys, but I'm the same age as the people they're playing in the movie.
Yeah.
And, it's when you're that age, you're trying to find yourself, and, you're awkward with girls and all that sort of stuff. So the movie really resonated with me. And I think, now what I get from it is basically don't be a dick.
To anyone.
Yeah, to anyone. And... I watched a few bits on YouTube just getting ready for this yesterday, and I watched there was the interaction between the janitor and the principal.
Yeah.
And it was that whole thing of you've changed because you can't relate to the kids anymore, and I don't want to be like that. So that's what that movie is for me. But I just soundtrack, fashion, era, and the freeze frame at the end.
I was going to say,
it's just the best.
Do you always walk onto ovals and just hope that anyone watching you from far away is like, why is that guy standing still with his fist in the air?
Who are you in the movie?
Who do I identify with the most?
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. See, it was probably either Ali Sheedy or
Molly Ringwald.
Actually, a fact on the side. I'm an extra in a movie with Molly Ringwald.
Is it that Cut movie?
It is Cut.
Oh, wow.
So I've been in a movie with Molly Ringwald, and Kylie Minogue was in that too. So
yes, she was. Yeah.
So you and Kylie are BFFs?
We are.
Did you talk to Molly?
No, we weren't in the scene together at all.
You hung around the set.
No, it was they weren't there.
Those shears, the second-tier knife.
Yeah.
Coolest thing ever in an Aussie horror film.
That was a good
film itself. Meh.
I mean, at a time where
we've spoken about this, the world wasn't ready for meta comedy until the last 5 years, and that was the big issue I think it had.
I think, but it was a decent entry into it. Everyone was doing it, and I still like Cut. I think I got a copy of it somewhere on VHS, but yeah, I'm gonna go freeze frame. Where were you? Which scene are you in?
The very last one where that's in New York.
Yeah,
and they show the movie again, and he appears behind the.
Where was New York in reality?
It was what's the cinema called on Goodwood Road?
The Capri.
The Capri. It was in the Capri.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, this is life-shattering news.
You thought it was in New York.
I did. That whole movie.
Who did you identify
ruined.
with? You, I mean, I know you want to be Bender, but we all know that you're.
I'm Molly Ringwald because of my dark olive complexion and my dark hair. No, I don't know. This is not my favourite John Hughes movie, and neither is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Before you cheap shot me with that.
Okay.
I identified more so with Uncle Buck than I did anyone, which is sad
really
because as my life goes on, it's getting closer and closer. Or the cousin from Christmas Vacation.
I recently watched Krampus, which has got him in it. I think it's got the same actor in it. No, that's Randy Quaid that's in that.
Yeah. Sorry,
it's not. It's the guy that reminds me of Randy Quaid. I really like this movie. I saw it like ridiculously late in life. Like I saw it. I wasn't sort of into a lot of Hughes movies, and I watched them all in a very short space of time and became in love with them.
He came delightful.
And I would probably be Anthony Michael in this movie because I'm going to be honest. But apparently, I saw Kevin Smith do a panel for the 20th or 30th anniversary of it, and that's not Molly Ringwald underneath the table when Bender's underneath the table. That's not her upskirt. Apparently, it was a stand-in.
You're getting the hard-hitting facts. Though.
Yeah, well, Kevin Smith made a joke about how that was his favourite scene, and then I don't think she's very happy that he even brought it up in the first place. And then she said it's not her, so his world was shattered. But yeah, excellent movie.
I'm probably Michael Anthony Hall pretending to be John Bender. That would be who I relate with.
And you know what? In the last 5 years since I had kids, I've turned into Vernon. So. I'm
the opposite of you, Marvel. I'm striving to become the principal. I just want to be bitter and old and have nothing to do with anyone.
Paul Gleason's a good actor. He's in a lot of movies, and he kind of plays the same thing. And he was in Die Hard. He's the chief down on the ground. He's pretty much the same. But I do like it when he crops up in movies. So.
He played himself in Not Another Teen movie?
Yeah.
And he did the same dialogue
Out
again.
of all those, that's actually a pretty funny movie. Out of all those spoof movies, the first Scary Movie and that one are pretty on key.
That film, Not Another Teen Movie, has a soft spot in my heart in the sense that we had a big lecturer from Sydney come out to our high school for the HSE, or SACE as you call it here.
Yeah.
And it was about note-taking, basically. So we all got given manila folders with all these notepads to take notes of everything she told us about taking notes.
Okay.
And so the whole thing, me and my mate just did every one-liner we could possibly think of from Not Another Teen Movie. And, because we were giggling, being stupid, by the end she goes, all right, now for an example, I'll read some out. Oh. So she took someone in the crowd and it's dot points, blah, 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 and listed off the things. She grabbed my mate's car. It's how did you get into the house? There's a huge hole in your house. She's like, what is this? And we got in so much trouble because she was a HSC lecturer. But look at me now.
Look at you now.
I didn't need to learn good.
Was that Captain America's first film? Chris Evans' first film? Because he was the jock in that.
Possibly.
Yeah.
He was in the movie The Losers, which was fantastic. Not enough people have seen it.
That was way after that, I reckon.
You reckon?
Yeah. Because Not Another Teen Movie was early 2000s.
I'll have to try hard to remember and not look it up on IMDb in a minute.
Yeah. But, look, this film's excellent. Go see it if you haven't seen it. Who hasn't seen this film? So that will be listening to this.
All three of you guys out there.
Before we go, injuries.
Yeah, broken heart. I guess concussion from being knocked out. So I've never had anything broken on me, which has been good. So concussions. I mean, I had a badly sprained ankle, but concussion.
I've never actually been concussed. What? So did you just lose all consciousness and just? Yeah.
So I've had two that were definitely knockouts. So one I woke up in the change room.
Nice.
And I don't know how I got there.
It was before a show.
Yeah, it was before a show. It was after a choke slam. And I didn't tuck my chin.
So it was all neck
always
and,
tuck
neck
your chin.
Back.
Yeah. And yeah, I woke up in the change room from that one. Didn't know how I got there. But I actually got knocked out on not the last show, but the show before. And that was like a jump cut in a movie.
Right.
So I saw the kick coming.
Yep.
And then I was on the ground. I don't know how I got from the ground, like from where the kick was to on the ground.
Thing, I must say, your role in the ring would actually be a little bit more dangerous, because how would people know that you'd lost consciousness in the mask?
Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't. So it was, yeah.
I totally lost that match.
Yeah. It was like, it was in a rumble, so there were lots of people in the ring.
Yeah.
And it was only, like I said, it was a jump cut.
All right, yeah.
So it was like, here comes the kick, and then I woke up on the ground.
Right.
So it was
With
only
the belt.
Yeah, it was only a few seconds. My partner watched it, and she was like, "You weren't knocked out," and I'm like, because I'm moving still, and I'm like, yeah, I don't remember any of that.
You were violently moving your arms and legs. You look like a fish.
Pussy.
Wow.
All right.
Scary times.
Yeah.
On that note, we'll go to another knockout of a film.
Oh, Jesus.
This is my show. And before there wasn't a film made in 2008 from this franchise, we're going back to the beginning, to the 1981 film. Why don't you tell us all about it?
So this is Raiders of the Lost Ark, if you couldn't tell. This and the next movie we're going to talk about in a little bit actually was kind of, I saw it on, the first time I saw it was on video, and when video shops were first around, they were like in petrol stations. Yeah. They weren't actually video shops, they were just video, you get the videos from the petrol station, so I got this from the petrol station. I reckon it was winter and it was cold, and I watched it, and it blew me away. Indiana Jones was the coolest. He was the coolest character ever. Well, you know, that day he was the coolest character ever. And it just, yeah, he was kicking Nazis' asses. I mean, the bit when he pulls the gun out and shoots the guy on the street, amazing. The bit when he's fighting the big Nazi guy on the plane, amazing. The end was terrifying.
It is terrifying. We watched it recently. It was on TV, and it's really unsettling. Like as much as like you know that like their faces are going to melt, it still shocks you. Like just how gross that is. I have like, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know why it wasn't on my list that like a couple weeks ago. I have encyclopedic knowledge on this film. Like the reason he shot the guy was because he had dysentery that day and he couldn't do the.
Isn't it because you're such a fan of Crystal Skull that you like retroactively learned about the film? Do you want me to hear?
Okay, I don't think I don't mind Crystal Skull.
It wasn't even a film. It never got made in my mind.
Okay, well we might have to talk about that later.
My children know that it's not an Indiana Jones film. They know that.
It has its merits.
It's a film where someone cosplays as an old man Indiana Jones. That's how my children know this film.
But they released a DVD set back in 05 or 06, and it shows you how they did a lot of the things. So like when he's in the snake pit, there's actually glass in front, which is like all the stuff like, you know, of course they did it, but like when you're actually watching, you're like, oh, it's a fascinating bit of information. But yeah, it's I actually listened to the score of this for fun. Like, I love John Williams' score of this movie so much. So, yeah, good choice.
I used to tape off the TV onto my tape.
I did that.
I'd do the music from Indiana Jones and the music from Back to the Future just because John Williams was a legend.
There's a bit where he's going down, just when he's chasing the truck, and he's on a horse, and he goes down the hill. And my wife, we were watching this the other day, and she's like, you're sad, but there's this piece of music when he's going down the hill I just love, and I actually bought the soundtrack. I found it on eBay, and it's I love it that much. So
can I bring up The Mummy? No.
The what?
I love the film The Mummy because of how much I love Indiana Jones.
Yeah,
that is more of a sequel than that one with the alien skulls.
Okay, well,
it's a rule. It's science.
And what about the Scorpion King? What do you actually? Let's go to wrestling.
The Rock. So
yeah, let's go to wrestling. Did you like the '90s stuff, like the rock and roll stuff? Were you?
Yeah. So that was kind of
that was Aurora's War.
That was when I got back into it. Yeah.
So like being like a sort of purist from the back in the '80s, when like the whole '90s thing happened with Stone Cold Steve Austin and all that stuff, were you like? Or you like, oh, finally, it's getting back into the limelight?
No, I still loved it because it was still that it still wasn't massively spotty wrestling. You know, it was still like
it was
pretty straightforward, telling stories.
Great.
Yeah,
and like you had like The Rock sort of flying the flag for it because I think he only sort of retired, like sort of he still did a bunch of movies. Well, he recently went back to it.
I think he did Get Shorty.
that was probably
or Be Cool, whichever one he's in.
I mean, he's an excellent actor. Like I enjoy watching him in movies. Like he's a great comedic actor. I mean, like the Scorpion King stuff, yeah, whatever. But but like is it good that there's like guys like flying the flag, because John Cena is also really growing on me. Like in Trainwreck, the Amy Schumer movie, he's very funny.
Yeah,
like that scene in the cinema.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. Do you like the fact that there's crossover into movies, into sort of popular culture with wrestling, or?
Yeah, I think wrestling, you know, it is popular culture. It is one of those things, and I think that's the way, you know, Vince McMahon. That's how we got it going in the 80s. Was that, you know, Cyndi Lauper and crossing over into that thing, and you like look at WrestleMania. I think there's like Liberace's there, and you know, getting Mr. T involved and all that sort of stuff. So I think it's always been part of popular culture, but it just goes up and down.
How come Ready to Rumble wasn't on your list? Because that's an absolute classic. Or is it because you're a WWF guy?
Yeah, I'm a WWF guy. No, actually, I love WCW. That was actually, like guys like Rey Mysterio was like, why I want to wrestle, but I can't flip.
You're like, I want to be a cruiserweight, except for the move side of it.
Yeah,
the mask.
We had a sale of all our wrestling stuff like last year, and I was looking at where I was doing the WrestleMania section, and they had the first one, and it's so funny to see, like, it looks like a backyard wrestling rink, and then you go through the ages up to, like, you know, I think it's up to 30. It's heat, and like it's just like the production value just goes up. But like that first one, it was like literally like this guy in a ring with, in like sort of just a leotard, and he's just got his hand up, and it's like, wow, it did have a story, and it's pretty amazing where it's got to from that moment.
A couple years ago at WrestleMania, they tried to bring the Hollywood side back into it.
Okay.
And one of the wrestlers actually came out dressed as a Terminator, and it was so bad it was good. But it was a beautiful moment because it was terrible. And wrestling now, I think, like particularly WWE, is so far removed from that side of things, because there's no longer what was called kayfabe back in the day, which was like, you know, characters hate each other, they don't hang out together, like that kind of thing. That whole dynamic kind of changed completely, and then that was one of the byproducts that I think died with it, was the glitz and glamour side of it,
right? Where
Hulk Hogan would show up in an episode of Baywatch and fight like Ric Flair in an episode of Baywatch kind of thing.
Yeah.
Kevin Nash and Goldberg fought in an episode of The Love Boat.
Yeah, they did.
Oh my god.
How is this not news to you?
I'm learning a lot.
And so Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah. You're good at this.
So it's George Lucas and Steven Spielberg working together, which are the pioneers or the architects of my childhood, really.
Well, they were on holiday, weren't they? From he was just about to release Jedi, or no, just
81.
Just
so
yeah,
no, it'd be Jedi time.
And he was just like, I really want to do these the old serials that I used to watch as a kid, like in the cinemas and stuff like that. I really want to do I think it was originally supposed to be like Flash Gordon. Oh, that's more Star Wars. But
yeah, the serial things. Did you get into there was a lot of made for TV young Indiana Jones and stuff like that?
That was actually super good, man. Like,
I was excited after Last Crusade. I was really excited there was going to be like River Phoenix Indiana Jones movies, because he looked so cool as a kid.
He did,
Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And then,
I wanted to be a Boy Scout because of that scene at the start on the train.
I think everyone did, yeah. I think they had a big spike in membership after Last Crusade went.
When you found out the Aussie ones didn't have the outfits.
Yeah.
No thanks.
You dib, dob. Do you remember that?
I do, but I was just like realising it. I'm just thinking things. Yeah. Budget of 18 million went on to make 389 million, so it's kind of easy to see how it became a franchise.
Yeah.
And it only had 3 sequels, because one of them doesn't count as a sequel because it doesn't exist.
All right, well, so we move on to the next one.
Yeah, we could do that, or we could talk more about whatever we talked about today. This is Dave's Video Graveyard. That's why I get last say on everything, not because I'm padding to find the song.
Yeah. You should get those crystal skulls to help you.
Hey, it's not very nice.
You're Shia LaBeoufing it up right now.
I am. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. So I'm trying to remember what song.
Have you seen King of the Crystal Skull?
I did. I saw it at the movies.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, so it was interesting.
Awesome.
Interesting.
Moving on to the next song. You guys are boring me. 100.5 WOWFM guest choice with Riot City Reading. Riot City Reading. It's a new thing that you're starting.
Yeah.
You're teaching kids to read and Razor's Edge.
I don't know. I still don't know what that means.
Well, I'll show you. I'll do it to you through the desk, and we'll see if we're still on air.
I don't want that.
So, tell us about the film.
So Mad Max 2. So I guess the first time I ever saw this, I think it was on late night TV, and it was heavily edited. So there were bits chopped out, but again, blew my as a kid, it blew my mind. I actually I'm going to do a bit of a callback here. I spoke about the video shops and the service stations on the previous movie. When I was a little kid, Mum and Dad said go and get a video, and I went into the video shop and I got Mad Max, which is rated R, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was a video shop in a service station, and they rented it out to me perfectly happily. But I wasn't allowed to watch it when I got back in the car. So I guess Mad Max was always kind of like this thing I wanted to see. It was like I wasn't allowed to see it, but I wanted to see it. And then finally saw Mad Max 2. Like I said, a heavily edited version. The cars were amazing. Everything was amazing. The big chase at the end. It blew my mind. It actually influenced my cousin and myself, like for many years after we saw it. In terms of the Lego that we built.
Petrol?
No, we weren't stealing petrol. The Lego cars that we built were all like Mad Max cars.
That was actually a big part of my childhood because I had a lot of different Lego that didn't go together.
Yeah.
As soon as you throw post-apocalyptic, which is where Mad Max was for me, yeah, suddenly it was like, yeah, this dinosaur's on top of this car because that's how it is.
Yeah. So, yeah, just I saw it when I was young, and yeah, it's just stuck with me forever, and it's like one of my favourite Australian movies. Just on another aside as well, Mad Max. I think is it Roger Ward who's his boss in the first Mad Max movie? Is that
yes?
Yeah. So when I used to wrestle in Sydney, he was our commentator. So and he was an awesome guy, and but he knew nothing about wrestling. So every single move that you would do, he would call a back slam. So you'd hit a Razor's Edge and it'd be a back slam.
Yeah.
You'd hit a Canadian Destroyer and it would be a back slam. He deviated. No one was actually doing those moves then, but he deviated once from calling something a back slam.
Yeah.
Once it was a headlock.
And that was a pile driver.
No. He was giving him a head job. So we were like, just stick to back slams.
So are head jobs a huge part of Riot City Wrestling?
No, they're not.
No. Yeah, so back to the R-rated family-friendly goodness. Is it true that you love this because Chris Jericho stole the Ayatollah of rock and roller from this film? Of course it is. All your films are secretly linked back to pro wrestling.
They are. Actually, then, yeah. No, I liked Mad Max 2 before I knew who Chris Jericho was.
Mad Max is, to me, particularly Mad Max 2 or The Road Warrior, it's similar to the Evil Dead 1 and 2, where 1 was okay and 2 was like perfection on the formula that was established. And then they went a bit silly with Beyond Thunderdome, which, some good things came out of it, like the Duran Duran film clip, Wild Boys, and Tupac's California Love music video. And then, what did you think of Fury Road?
I really liked Fury Road. I really liked it. I thought, before I saw it, I read an article about it, and they were like every frame's like a painting. And when I went and saw it, that was in my head, and I think every frame was like a painting.
A very violent car painting.
It's a good looking movie. I'll give it that. I'm not the biggest Mad Max fan, so I don't have a lot to contribute to this conversation. And your face just dropped.
No, well, you gotta love Mel. It's the law.
I don't know. I do like him.
Just not
I'm
his
more
outlook.
Lethal Weapon
Just
Mel.
not his. Oh, how could you?
But also, I'm also aware of reality Mel, and he's not a great guy.
Yeah, I'm more of a what women want Mel guy, but that's neither here nor there.
You're a Daddy's Home Mel.
Hey, he stole every scene he was in Daddy's Home too.
I don't want he's had a checkered past. I think I've only ever seen the Mad Max films I think once each. I haven't sort of gone back into them. It's just, I don't know, for some reason they just never sort of rang my bell.
Is it a conscious decision to live your life wrong, or it just went down that path?
Look, I've made many mistakes in movies, in your opinion. But
You
yeah.
like Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay,
so-
well, let's go back on to what's next.
Alright, we'll go to our next song. It is DVG. And as we play this song, 100.5 WOW FM, there we heard from Guys Night with the Die Hard song. Because the next film that you've picked isn't Die Hard. No, it is. I tricked you.
It is Die Hard.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is when I think of Die Hard, I think like it changed my life, but I'm not sure how. Like maybe I swear more. I don't know. But I didn't go to the movies much when I was a kid, so like I wouldn't know about things until they kind of came out on video. And I actually didn't know about Die Hard at all, and we watched it at school.
What? How did that?
So I was in high school when it came out. So as part of media, it was like the end of term, and we watched Die Hard. So we watched it over a few lessons, but the thing is, we ran out of time to see the end.
Oh, that is...
right.
So I was devastated. So I think I ended up being sick, and I said, "Mum, can you get me Die Hard on video from the video shop?" And she got me Die Hard. And again, it's one of those movies where I just like watched it back to back. And it just I hadn't seen anything like it before.
Originally slated to be a sequel for Schwarzenegger's Commando, starring Schwarzenegger. Turned it down because he didn't think it was action enough. And Bruce Willis at the time wasn't an action star. He was the guy from Honeymooners. No.
Moonlighting.
Moonlighting, that's it.
Great show.
Yeah. The guy that's not Sybil Shepherd. And, yeah, take that. He changed the face of action because you no longer had to be the Stallone or the Schwarzenegger. You just had to be the wisecracking action
The
dude.
everyman, yeah. I mean, I've heard also it's the first movie to recognise like clips in guns. So like
He reloads.
So he ran out of bullets and lots of stuff. So up until then, you could just a handgun could fire 100 bullets, and
It's funny for all the murders and the shooting. I remember the first time I watched it, just being super concerned about walking on glass.
Oh man, that bit in the where he's pulling glass over his feet, I still can't really watch it. It's horrible. I mean, this is just I've watched it so many times. There is a thing I put on our Facebook page, like with the argument for is this like a Christmas movie, and it is like it's there's all these subliminal things that they go through in the article. Check it out, but it's a really good. I mean, you got the guy from Family Matters. The dad, Carl. Is that? And then there's also the Carl in the movie with the long blonde hair. I always like that guy. The guy that's like just angry all the time, smashing things up, and then gets like killed in the most heinous way. I think he's choked with a chain at the end, and yeah.
Ellis is my absolute favourite character.
Ellis.
And we've actually spoken. You'll have to come back next Christmas because we ran out of time this year. We're actually going to do a live radio play of Die Hard.
Oh, nice.
With all our guests.
Nice.
There's different roles. And I'm being Ellis.
Yeah,
It's the rules.
you have earmarked Ellis for yourself.
Because I just want to change. I want to play something outside my typeset and be a loud, mouthy douche. So I thought Ellis would be the perfect counterbalance to my real soft-spoken.
Is it Spreckensy talk?
He, not to reveal how interesting my weekend was, but I was watching the second... I'm totally having a mental blank. Caravan of Courage or Battle for Endor. Yep. I was watching one of those. Ellis is the dad.
Oh my lord, is he?
Second one, yeah. And I was like, wow. Well, spoiler alert from a TV special Star Wars film. He dies, but yeah, it's him.
Does he get coke in that one?
Yeah, he just does. He does coke and he rings the bad guy, and he's like, "Listen, the Ewoks are all here, but you know they're just chilling. Just come out."
I think, like, I mean, this movie is funny. It's something you can watch over and over. Like, I don't mind all like up to 4. The fourth one's still got some good moments in it too. I haven't actually seen the fifth one.
It's not a Die Hard movie. I don't count it.
Jai Courtney is the asterisk on any franchise because Terminator Genesis also isn't a Terminator film. He's in that. Suicide Squad isn't a DC film because he's in that.
Is he his son? He's his son in the.
It was like a big handing over film where John McClane's son becomes the new McClane action star.
Okay, yeah.
I actually consider Last Boy Scout as a Die Hard film.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Because it's pretty much just John McClane.
Yeah.
in a different role?
No, I recently saw that on. It was, I think it was a movie that was playing on Fox or something. And I saw it halfway through. I'm like, I did watch the rest of Last Boy Scout.
Well, as you know, my family have the Wayans brother rule, where anything to do with the Wayans, not going out that night. Sorry, guys. Major Payne's on telly, not coming out tonight. That's how I like to live my life.
Yeah, well, live. Yeah, that's a that's a word, isn't it?
Live your best life, guys, and watch Major Payne instead of seeing human interaction. I was just reading with my memory, not reading it online at all, but because it was named Die Hard, there was actually a clause, because there was a 60s film made with Frank Sinatra called Die Hard, the detective Die Hard. He had a clause that anything made further on, because it was also based off the same book, he was offered the lead role of Die Hard before anyone else because of a contract.
Would have loved to see Frank Sinatra at that stage.
It would have been fantastic.
Getting into it.
Just would have been drunk and he would have broken the window by stumbling sideways into it. I got shoes on.
Welcome to the pod. Oh!
He's just smoking a cigar and not leaving the air vent.
I mean, yeah, I think I did hear that somewhere along. That's a good fact. I like that fact.
Thank you. I didn't make it up or read it online. It's facts. So we might move to the next film straight away if you don't have anything else to add about Die Hard.
No, I mean, I was just going to say, on multiple watchings, one of my favourite bits is when the SWAT guy gets his arm caught on the rose.
That is so good. That's so funny. Damn.
It's great.
Good times. So rather than going to a song, because maybe we talked about something instead of Indiana Jones for too long.
Sorry, also, the bit where they're set up for a big showdown and the guy grabs a chocolate bar out of the... He sees it, and I'm like, I would totally do that if I was like, oh, the cops are coming. There's a crunch. I really want to see it. Anyway, Day of the Dead is the next one, yeah?
1985, American Horror, George A. Romero, sequel to Dawn of the Dead. Yeah. It is a slow burn, and it feels dreadful.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic film. God, you feel dreadful watching this film.
Yeah, no, and it's like, again, it's like, this is, like I said, I think this is the second horror movie, I guess, really, on my list. And I didn't get into zombie movies until, like, my late teens, again, because I found them pretty scary. But Day of the Dead, and I could have easily picked Dawn of the Dead as well, but I guess Day of the Dead, again, that resonated with me somehow. The scene... the guy that's in charge, the crazy guy, when he just gets ripped apart and he's like choke on it. It's like, yeah, it's amazing.
And Bub salutes him.
Yeah. And Bub's, it was awesome. It was just, it was gory. I thought it had a good story. It was slow. I think the soundtrack was awesome.
Yeah. It was very ambient. It was very...
I think it was, again, done by Dario Gentile and the Goblins.
And it's so unsettling is the way I describe it. It's not in a bad way, actually. Earlier this year, I was meant to go see the film It Stains the Blood Red, a new zombie movie that was doing the circuits, and it got held up because it hadn't been classified in Australia yet.
Right.
So I already had the tickets, and they played Day of the Dead instead.
Okay.
And watching it on the big screen, you're really immersed in the film, and I felt bad after. Like, I felt really uncomfortable. Like, I've seen the film, love the film.
Yeah.
But it creates a sense of dread, this film, which it does really well. Like, the other one keeps you grounded, and it's still, it's a popcorn movie, Dawn of the Dead, for me, because it's got all your social commentary and stuff, but it's still fun. Yeah. You get the bikers, you get the, what would you do in that situation kind of thing, whereas this one, it's just bleak. Yeah. And it really... I felt terrible watching it, but I love this film.
When I first watched it, I was like... this film, I kind of wanted them to go back up because when they're in, I think it's in Florida, you see the alligator walk out, and you're like, oh, this is going to be out in the open and everything, and then you're like confined into this army base, and like I think I originally was like, I always sort of put this one at the bottom because I kind of wanted to go back out into the world and see how trashed it is, but then I'm like, this is what they're doing with those when they're trapping him in the caves and they're bringing him up, and then like you got the guy Jesus, Mary and Joseph, like every time he's on camera, it's really good. Like, I mean, it does have the social commentary again. Like it's a really,
because it's about
film.
Military this time.
Yeah, and then like there's that insanely good bit at the start. I'm sure they just did it for the trailer where the hands come through the wall when she's in the dream and the hands come through. I mean, that scene is excellent.
I still love the helicopter bit. And I was going to say, it's... See, the thing I've always loved about... I didn't always love zombie movies, but when I did fall in love with them, I loved the society as we know it falling apart side of it, so seeing that happen kind of thing. This is set after everything's done. Like, this is post-apocalyptic, basically. Yeah. And I didn't quite enjoy that side of it as much as I did Dawn of the Dead, because it was always... It almost gave you hope in a way where you're like, oh, something's going to fix it at the end. Yeah. You know, we haven't gone too far, whereas this is like, yeah, no, we're done.
Yeah. And I'm kind of getting a bit sick of that whole, like, people are the enemy and zombies now. I think we need to sort of change the record a bit.
You need to put it on a bullet train and make me scream at the screen.
Yeah, I mean, like, that movie, like, you have a couple of villains of the people in that movie, but, like, it's a really generally good zombie movie, like, about zombies and just, you know... this one, yeah, definitely give it a go. Yeah, I mean, the changing face of zombie movies, the bit where he's on the table, like the zombies on the table, and all the stuff falls out of it.
Yes.
That was the front cover of the DVD when it came out, like in 2008. Like, you know, like this is like a thing that was banned probably at the time, and now like they're showing the grossest scene on the front cover of the DVD. Like it's gross.
It's like we talked about last week with Salo being for sale.
Yeah. Like, it's just society's just like, oh, we're good with that now. We're okay.
It's art now that it's old.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else to add?
No, I think I'm good.
So, take the whole family to see this feel-good hit?
Yeah. Or just, you know, watch it at home with the whole family.
Yeah, that's it. Kids... Stop cleaning your room for a second. I need to show you something for 2 hours and 15 minutes.
We're going to talk about the military complex.
Do you guys know what intestines are? Sit next to Dad. This is DVG. It is the Galactic Empire with the Imperial March, taken from the 1980 epic space opera film, directed by Ivan Kershner, who taught George Lucas how to make films. What is the film?
It's Empire Strikes Back. I think this is the first movie I remember going to the cinema to see. So I must have been like, I think I was like 4, 5 years old. And I didn't, and up until then, like, you know, I'd seen Star Wars, but Star Wars, you can only watch if it was on TV.
Yeah.
Because there were no videos or anything like that. So yeah, Star Wars was shown on a Friday night, you'd rush home so you could watch Star Wars on TV. But yeah, went and saw Empire Strikes Back at the cinema. Basically at that point in my life, I wanted to be Han Solo when I grew up. I wanted to marry Princess Leia when I grew up. And
it's good you didn't say you want to be Luke Skywalker.
No,
and marry Princess Leia.
I know, that would have been terrible. And when he got frozen in the carbonite at the end, I was devastated. I didn't understand there was going to be, like, you know, Return of the Jedi. I thought that was it. I thought he was dead, and I cried in the cinema.
Well, see, you lived through like the big element that I missed because a little bit younger. I saw all three basically at the same time on video, as well as THX making of whatever it was called. I can't imagine waiting years for a following film because it is such a down note. Even if you watch it now and you're not going to watch Return of the Jedi, it's like, I kind of need to watch it now because that's a very bleak ending.
Yeah, and I guess, like, you know, I was a little kid, but there weren't that many movies that ended that bleakly that I'd seen, and it was like it broke my heart.
Yeah, like it all was kind of lost at that end of that film. So I bet you that's what Last Jedi is going to do. Like, I mean, I'm looking.
I'm hoping that it's going to be bleak I'm hoping it's going to at least try to live up to Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, I don't know, but like,
we know it's not going to be any Attack of the Clones, but we can hope.
Yeah, well, yeah. We're going to get into the prequels too. You're going to have a fight with me about that.
There's only four Star Wars films and 2 Ewok movies.
So you saw Empire Strikes Back and sort of like, are you
5
excited?
Because of Rogue One. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Are you excited for the new ones? Like, did you like Force Awakens?
Yeah, I like the Force Awakens.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people are like, oh, you know, it's too much of a derivative of New Hope, but I'm actually pretty easy.
Yeah.
To entertain, and like, it hit all the right notes for me in terms of that nostalgia of being a kid.
Yeah. Like,
it's no major pain, but it's pretty special.
Yeah.
Okay.
They should put that on the next poster.
What Wayans is in Yeah.
Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's no major pain, but you should check it out.
Yeah. You should run advertising for Filmation movies.
Clearly.
This is one of my favourite movies of all time too, if not my favourite. It's got everything. I went on about it for a long time a couple weeks ago, so I'm not going to repeat myself. But it's just a perfect film for me.
I loved getting to see New Worlds, which we spoke about previously. You got to see Hoth, Dagobah. It all was so different from what you saw in Star Wars that even though it's similar formula, it just brings so much to it.
This inspired me to go to the outer universe too, like within the books and stuff like that.
Literally? Like you flew to
I did. I was actually transported there through my mind. I went to get the books because they had a bunch of series of books about the bounty hunters, and the bounty hunters is one of the best things about this movie. And like, they've got a book where you find all the backstories of those bounty hunters. It's excellent. So I love it. Best film ever.
Sweet. Now moving on to sequels that I love even more than the original, we're going to talk about the film Aliens.
Yes.
It is a space horror, I guess you'd call it. From
Is this Ridley Scott?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Right.
It's my mate Jim. Jimbo, as I call him in my phone, because we're pretty close.
Yeah, cool.
Why'd you pick this film?
So again, this is a movie that changed my life. And again, I think it's the amount of swearing. But I was scared to see this movie because when I think why I didn't like horror as a kid was because I was traumatized by Alien. So as like a little kid, I saw Alien up to the point where the face hugger jumped out.
Oh wow!
I turned it up, ran away screaming. So I was kind of scared to see Alien. So I think I saw Aliens because it came out in '86.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I saw it around like '88. So a couple of years after it came out. And just everything was cool. The Space Marines were amazing. Hicks, one of the best characters ever. Hudson's one of the best characters ever.
You are a Hudson.
just everything was so well done. Like the pulse rifles, like they were amazing. The aliens, just everything was so cool about it.
It's an insanely well made movie, like down to the detail. It's just the best sci-fi action you could ever, apart from Empire Strikes Back, probably. But I mean, I gushed about this. I saw my friend was watching it with his dad, and I came over to his house, and they said, "Oh, we're watching Aliens. Do you reckon your parents would be okay with this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was terrified because I walked in straight. You know when they get into LV 426 and it's basically the start of the beeping from Hudson's.
Yeah.
That's where I walked in on.
The Walls Are Alive is the quintessential terrifying scene.
And I had no idea what was coming. Like, I mean, I knew there was something to do with aliens. I didn't know what they looked like. I was just like, and I was literally like tearing the seat out. Like I was.
The first time I ever watched it, I was too young to see it. We were staying at a station like 3 hours out of town of friends. They put Aliens on because they were a little bit older. So it was like, let's scare the younger kids with a horror movie.
Yeah.
And I was so traumatized that even though I was the world's biggest Star Wars fan at the time, Spaceballs became even scarier to me because of the chest burster scene. I just was so traumatized by any...
like, hello, my honey.
It doesn't matter. I had to fast forward that scene. It was absolutely terrifying.
That's a weird add-on in that movie, by the way. Like, it's funny, but it's just like, I suppose it is. It was a spoof, but it always seemed really out of place. Aliens. John Cameron did really well with this movie. Is it John?
Yeah,
John.
Who?
James.
John? No, I'm pretty sure it's John Cameron.
Okay.
Sweet. So one of the microphones has stopped working, so it's just Marvel and me for the rest of the show.
Jake Cameron.
Jake Wayans.
Jake.
We'll move on to another film from the previous year because we are running out of time, but it's from 1985 and it is not in English, so it's pretty hard for me because I don't like reading good. Tell us what it is.
You can do a third one for the week.
So it was Jackie Chan's Police Story. And this is another one I didn't probably see until like the 90s, where I got massively into kung fu movies and got massively into like Jackie Chan's 80s movies. And there's a whole bunch of movies I could have chosen. I guess I chose Police Story just because the fight at the end in the shopping centre is amazing.
Yeah.
I'm a Jackie Chan tourist because it was Rumble in the Bronx for me, and then I backtracked, and then there wasn't much English. I was like, I'm not here to read.
And you don't read good. Yeah.
I don't read good lots.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
How is it compared to Rush Hour for you?
Don't even. We had this argument last week. Do you like the Rush Hour films?
Do I like them?
Yeah.
They're nothing compared to...
No. But still, they're delightful.
Yeah, I mean, they're good fun.
I saw a police story, I think, when I was when I was working in a video store. So we had like a very small martial arts section, and this was chucked in there. Yeah, loved it. And then I think I was working there when the first strike came out, which was
was that the snow one with the helicopters and so it was Russian changed to English? Or
yeah, it was filmed in Australia. That was
yeah. But all the writing was in Russian,
and it has that stunt right, where he jumps and grabs onto the helicopter, but
with the snowboard.
But the helicopter blade knocks his beanie off.
Yeah,
that's mental.
It was on the trailer though.
See, I don't think, or maybe it was Rumble in the Bronx, but even when he broke his ankle, and just got a sock with the shoe painted on it for most of the stunts. Like I'm just trying to think. The guy that did all the stunt work actually choreographed something else recently that I saw. And it was absolute insanity. Because he has a stunt team that if they're not willing to do everything and anything that he says, not in a like diva-y kind of way, but if they're not going to match it or do it himself, he won't let anyone facilitate his stunts that won't do the stunt themselves also. And so quite often you'll see, like with a lot of the outtakes of a lot of the police story films, Jackie Chan will do it and then one of his stunt guys will do it as well. Yeah. And they'll switch notes because it was at a time where you couldn't film it and watch the daily back. So he would get someone else to do the stunt and go, all right, so when I do it, I might put that arm in or put that arm in. That's insanity.
Yeah. No, I mean, Jackie, this is the vintage sort of Jackie Chan. Like, he's well known now. He's making a lot of his own films now, like directing them and producing them and doing everything else on them too. So
hopefully he does something with Chris Tucker in the near future.
I heard there's a new one.
Bring it on. Some people out there like it. I don't personally, but some people do like the Rush Hour films a lot.
A lot. Is there 3 of them?
Yes.
Yeah, there's 3.
How is there 3 of them?
Because he sings War by Tom Jones in one of them. That's why.
But like, I can understand maybe a second one, but like the third one, like what could you possibly explore into a third Rush Hour?
We're talking about Police Story right now.
I'm asking you.
They went on to make part 2 and part 3 and part 4. And there's a new Police Story, which I'm guessing is a reboot, and then a Police Story 2013, which is a remake. That's awesome.
So, getting back to, do you anything you want to pimp for your wrestling? Like you said, there's something coming up on Australia Day.
So the Australia Day weekend. So I think that's the 27th. I think is our next big show. So that's Reanimated.
Cool.
I don't know who I'm fighting. We've beaten all the tag teams, so I'm sure they'll find something.
You're just running out. Yeah. Just looking for cannon fodder at this stage,
basically.
And if anyone's I want to pursue this, what do? They just.
So we have regular tryouts. So there was actually a tryout tonight.
Okay.
So if you're listening and you want to try out, you missed that one.
Did I make it?
Yeah. So there's.
You're not wrestling, you're just sitting.
Yeah. So again, just check the Facebook page. They use the tryouts are shared as events. So
okay, cool.
People can sign up and come along to them. Yeah.
Do they know what they're getting in for?
Yeah, I don't think you ever really know what you're getting in for with wrestling. I think it's harder. I think it's harder than people think it is.
Okay.
I think it is. I think people don't think it's hard as what it is. I think.
Let's face facts, though. If I wasn't allergic to cardio, I would actually destroy you and the entire tag team division single-handedly.
Potentially.
So let's look at that as a good thing that tryouts were tonight, and I was stuck here with you.
Yeah, but I guess the thing with wrestling is you can work around lack of cardio.
Don't encourage. You're gonna die. No, you won't. You'll do great. What would be your wrestling name apart from not Davey Damaged?
I already know what it would be.
Okay,
Bulk Bogan.
Okay, cool.
What? Bulk Bogan?
Yeah. No,
Australian dream.
You thought long and hard about this.
No, I come up with it for someone that is a wrestler locally, and I told him, and he didn't take it as the term of endearment that I meant it, and because his character was pretty bogan, I just thought he'd love it, and he was like,
"No,
Yeah, he didn't love it. So that's who I am now. Bob
cool.
Bergen.
good,
Coming to RCW soon. Championships and keys to the city and taking it all.
Just win
Dying on the ring.
Win everything.
As long as there's no running or intense cardio or any cardio,
Yeah.
maybe could be the first mobility scooter wrestler.
Yeah, you could be. I mean, walking. I guess
Can they make a new belt for that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be a moo.
It'd be like the song from Police Story 3.
Yeah, nice.
Because without this franchise, the world would not have got this song. Marvel, thank you so much for joining us
Thanks,
tonight.
man.
Thank you for having me.
You have to come back next year for our Die Hard live radio play.
I will. Fantastic.
Well, no, who would you play?
Who would I play?
Yeah.
McLean's on the table.
Well, I'd love to play McLean. So I'm trying to think of someone else. Maybe one of the Agent Dicks, aren't they?
Yeah.
Dicks?
Smith. Smith? Or?
You could be the news guy that gets punched in the face.
You know the two FBI guys, aren't they both
Yeah.
Dicks? Or they're both Smiths.
Yeah, I think they're both Smiths,
They're
yeah.
not Dicks. They're Smiths.
I think they're Smiths, yeah.
Yeah.
And they make their jokes like, no, not me, I'm the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They might be
I also want you to do the guy that gets pricked by the thorn.
Yeah, I'll do him as well.
Dual roles. You like Eddie Murphy up in this. Thanks very much for joining us, guys. Join us next week from 8 here on WOWFM.